guys, I'm Madeleine Harvey, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today. In our voice lesson today, we're going to be talking about mimicking versus modeling. What exactly are they? And how can we use the styles and the sounds from some of our favorite artists as guides to finding our true, authentic voice? So if you like today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button below. I would love to see you here more often. So the video that you're about to watch is a quick clip from a live voice lesson that was shot earlier today. If you want to watch the entire live, well, I invite you to click that join button below and become a member of this channel. As a member, you'll have exclusive access to all of our lives that we're going to be doing every Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So again, click that join button below. It's $4.99 a month, and your membership helps to support our channel. That way we can keep delivering awesome content for you. Are you ready to get started? Here we go. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I just want to thank you all for being here. We're going to be talking today about what is the difference between mimicking and modeling and how we can effectively use other singers' styles and other singers' voices as a guide path to finding our own authentic voice, because that's what it's all about, right? So we're going to get into this, and we're going to define mimicking and we're going to define modeling. Stick with me for a little bit and we'll actually go through the more particulars on that. But there's a lot to cover in today's video. I think this might be one of the very most confusing things to come to with voice. So before we define mimicking and modeling, I just want you guys to think about the artists that you love. Whether it's their music, their attitudes, their voices. Think for about a few seconds with me now about why exactly you like the singers that you like, or you love the singers that you love. I think if you think on it, you'll come to the realization that those singers are reflecting back to you your taste. And that is what today is all about. Learning how to define your taste so that you can then embody your own taste and be a nice, authentic, whole, fully formed singer. So it's important to say that mimicking is exactly what it implies. It is listening very carefully and studying very astutely the nuances of some of your favorite artists' voices. You want to be able to hone in on those details as exactly as you can. Modeling is similar, but it's different. Modeling is you're going to listen very carefully, but instead of to the other artist, you're going to listen to yourself. And you're going to see how, when you sing in the style of that artist, how that literally bounces off of you on the interior. So they're very similar. They're only different by a small degree, but that degree, that subtlety makes all the difference. So if you're an artist, and my hope for you is that you are, if you sing, you're artistic, you're creative. If you write, you're artistic and creative. But if you find yourself wanting to be a vocalist or recording artist or maybe a songwriter, you know the struggle of this particular thing. It's I'm remembering I watched this thing once, and Reba McEntire was talking about how when she first got started, she would sing and sing and sing and sing, and she could imitate people's voices very clearly, very clearly. But whenever she would go and sing for people, they were like, I just hear Patsy Cline, or I hear, Loretta Lynn, and like, who are you? Who are you as an artist? Because that's basically what that says. I've had that happen to me at an audition. I sang, and the casting director was like, you sound just like Julie Andrews. And although some people would see that as a compliment, I knew what he was saying with that. He was basically saying, you are not very clear on your own authentic style and your own authentic personality. There's too much emulation going on. So we have to kind of manage some modes of being, don't we? If we are going to learn to sing, we will have to be very clear about mimicking, because we need some sort of guide. We need some sort of framework, right? It's how we know that we're doing something that's within our standard. So we're going to use an artist's voice as a means of having some sort of higher standard. That's something that we can aim towards. And we're going to listen, and then we're going to see if we can emulate that. That is the work. That is the work. That's how we refine our taste. That's how we isolate and hone our skills. But we cannot stop there. There's going to come a time where we have to kind of let the training wheels off of the bike and become our own kind of singer, right? If anyone has any questions as we're going through this, be sure to type them in the comments portion, and we'll get that conversation going. So let's see here. I'm just kind of taking a look at So we've covered the fact that mimicking is all about listening specifically to a singer's sound. Well, what specifically are we going to be listening for? Well, the short answer is tone. There's identifiable tone. And that, I think, is really what makes a great singer. But that's my standard. There's lots of different ways you can measure an artist's unique gift as a singer. I particularly like tone. And if you think about jazz or blues or some pop, like I love Adele's voice, there's a specific tone quality in there. But if you also think about, let's go back to blues or maybe rock, there's more of an unrefined quality there. So again, this is all about listening very intently and making wise choices about how you're going to use this artist's sound as a benchmark for your own progress. Okay? So if you choose a particular artist and you're seeking to emulate their tone, but it's feeling like you have to work really, really, really hard, that might be a good idea to shift maybe to a different artist, or to make some sort of modulation on that particular tone. Go easy on yourself. Don't try to get it exactly right, because you are a different person, right, than this particular artist. And I do find that the ways that we fall short are actually where our gifts are. And if you like to listen to a lot of singers, like being interviewed and things, they go through a very similar kind of process. They really want it to sound like they're heroes, but they fell short to some degree or the other. But in that falling short, they became very aware of what they had to offer. So they could aim in the form of mimicking towards this particular singer that was their hero. They fell short, and they ended up finding their own tone, their own style in that process. So do not fault yourself if you can't make your voice sound exactly like another singer. We cannot do that. No human being can 100% copy another human being. And we don't want to, but it is also really important to say that none of us are born with style. None of us are really born with voice even. It's like when kids play in the yard, or they're just pretending to be some of their favorite heroes. There's something highly instinctual that's asking to be embodied in that play. So when we choose to emulate our heroes, that's the first step towards becoming our own individualized artist. So the difference between mimicking and modeling is mimicking is listening, but listening specifically to the nuances of that artist. Honing in and seeing if we can get that tone to be as close as we can to the original artist. We do not want to tie our voices in knots. Sometimes artists' voices are just different from ours. And in those ways that we fall short, we notice those differences. Honor those differences. Do not force your voice to do anything that feels incredibly uncomfortable. You can hurt yourself by trying to being so attached to mimicking a specific artist. If you have a different voice, but you really appreciate that kind of tone that that artist is giving you, come as close as you possibly can, but go easy with yourself. Don't try to emulate them exactly. Modeling is getting a sense of that singer's tone, being a little relaxed in those details, but instead listening to yourself. And this feels very visceral. If you are really listening interiorly, when you're singing, let's say you're mimicking one of your favorite artists, and let's say that that tone is similar to your voice. So it's kind of congruent to your own voice. Find a way. I love to put my hands on my chest and I'll sing along with my favorite singer. And I'll hold a question in my mind. Does this feel like me? Can it feel more like me? I'll just gently hold that question in my mind. And I'll find that when it sounds, or when it feels like me, there's this really big visceral response that just feels so incredibly happy to embody that experience. And that's more modeling. That's more what modeling is. So you could think of it as mimicking is left-brained. It's details, it's structure, it's standards, it's practicing those things in that way we can emulate those behaviors and build that nice solid foundation for what makes a good singer as reflected by our taste, right? We like the artists that we like. And once we've done that, once we have a good framework, a good foundation, then we cease trying to sound exactly like that singer, come into ourselves, relax, and hold that question in my mind of, does this feel true? Does this feel like I'm embodying myself? Okay? So keep those two things in mind. We're going to go a little deeper here in a second, but keep those two things in mind. We do not, as a culture, as a society, we do not want a whole bunch of Mariah Careys. We do not want a whole bunch of Adeles or a whole bunch of Hayley Williamses. We want authentic yous. So the whole point is to be yourself. Okay? So a second ago, I talked about tone, like how can we mimic? What exactly can we listen for that will help us isolate what we're listening for?